Personally, I always knew it would be a game that I would play quite a lot, sort of like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. It isn't exactly a game I can imagine myself playing all day, but short play sessions aren't really a new thing for racing games. Like, I wouldn't play Mario Kart all day either. Although it feels like there's not a lot of content, it still feels like the only unique single-player experience in this game is the story mode. And despite that, today, me, your host, Sir Nistro, we're going to go into why Team Sonic Racing is a pretty fun game.
Ho, 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 ho! Prepare yourself!
YouTube HQ, this is Robotnik Unit Commander, Sir Nistro, reporting in for duty.
Robotnik Unit, we got you loud and clear, ready to report your findings about that new racing game that came out.
Yes, it took me a while, but I think I'm finally done with this review of Team Sonic Racing. I'm done with the Team Sonic Racing review.
Sir, with all due respect, what
Ouch!
the are you doing?
What are you even talking about?
Crash Team Racing literally comes out today, and you're talking about a game no one played for longer than 2 hours. You'd be lucky to get 5 views on the video.
You know, just pass me through to Susan, because you obviously don't know. What an absolute...
Ooh,
that light's really bright, isn't it? Hope you guys don't mind if I just move some stuff around. When Team Sonic Racing was first revealed and we got details on the next Sonic Racing game to come out from the same developer studio as Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, I knew I would enjoy it straight out the box. I mean, Team Sonic Racing being the next installment to a game that I generally felt was the best racing game that I've ever played in terms of mechanics in my entire life, I was definitely more than interested to see what exactly Team Sonic Racing had to offer. I think looking from a first impression standpoint, the game having only Sonic characters may be disappointing to those coming from Transformed or the original All-Stars. Losing a more modern representation of Sega's smaller franchises like Jet Set Radio, Space Channel 5, Shinobi, Virtua Fighter, and also missing the chance to have some of Sega's more current and successful running franchises like Yakuza, Valkyria Chronicles, Hatsune Miku, and quite possibly even Persona, could be off-putting for a lot of fans of just Sega in general. Now, I was initially thrown off by that as well, but the more time that passed, the more content I became with the concept. The characters being from Sonic games only helps this game have better chemistry between the characters. During races, characters make witty comments about the stages, about other characters, or maybe just about how they're feeling. You know, it brings out the personality in these characters, and it would have been weird to replicate that feel if all these characters had been from different series. Look at Marvel's Capcom Infinite.
Both of us would perish. A pity. Your code is impressive.
Yours is almost poetry. A hymn to order and reason.
This energy!
Ultron!
Our name is Ultron Sigma. We have become as one.
Disappointing.
The stages, they do feel a bit of a step down from Transformed, where the stages were constantly changing in real time as you were racing. One lap the road is perfectly fine, the next lap someone misplaced their fucking TNT and now the road is replaced with a body of water for some reason. That third lap, the damn Dragoon was just getting annoyed with all the drifting and car noises and just decided to blow up the entire bridge, so now we gotta fly all the way to the finish. Not every stage in Transformed had a different route every time you crossed the starting line. Some just had you alternate between playing, racing in the air and on water, and without really changing the layout throughout the laps. And that there were some that had no variation in layout throughout playing, nor any variation between land, air, or sea. Now, that wasn't a problem, because even when the stages weren't transforming, they still had enough moving pieces to make them somewhat feel alive. Like how the Shibuya downtown stage in Transform still had other cars and stuff moving around. Even though there was no transforming, the stage still felt like it was moving. Ultimately, that's what the stages in Team Sonic Racing feels like. They're not transforming, but there's always something moving, there's always something going on, so the stages don't feel too static and boring. Take the Seaside Hill stage, for example. In Transformed, where I had 2 laps on the ground, on the original stage where you go through the stage as normal, but then on the 3rd lap, all of a sudden, the whole stage is just on the water. In Team Sonic Racing, it's just 3 of the same laps. But I feel like thanks to the short length of the stage, and the moving boulders halfway through, it doesn't end up feeling too dry in Team Sonic Racing, which was one of my initial concerns about Team Sonic Racing, but I can say with a sigh of relief, it's not a problem. Now, what is a problem is that they didn't bring over Galactic Parade.
Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go!
Now, stages aren't oversaturated with obstacles, but they do have just enough for the character types to take proper advantage of them without one getting too much favor over the others. In this game, there's your speed, your technique, and your power types. Speed types have a higher base speed and can destroy incoming items like rockets and eagles when they use their drifts. I actually had to look that up. I didn't even know. I didn't play speed types until like day 3, and I didn't even know that they were like that good. Technique types have a small, and I mean tiny magnet. Very minuscule magnet in them that can attract close by rings, and they lose less speed than other character types would when going through rough terrain such as tall grass, tall snow, sand pits, water, slime, lava, or even slippery ice. Initially, I was under the impression that they don't lose any speed at all, but there is a noticeable, very slight decrease in speed when you go over those terrain patches, but they're usually put in places where it's a shorter turn or it's a more convenient cut through certain parts of the level, so it's not really, it's a fair trade-off, I believe. That being said, these terrain changes won't be found in every single level. Levels are balanced in a way that usually makes 1 or 2 types benefit from each stage. When there's nothing getting in the way of the track, it usually means speed types have the advantage because they're naturally faster. But when stages are full of obstacles like terrains or enemies or objects in the way, then they can be a benefit for technique and power types, since power types are unaffected by small obstacles on the stage, such as like enemies or tall icicles. Sometimes they even mix rough terrain with obstacles, making it more challenging for technique types, but still doable thanks to their amazing handling. And I'm like amazing handling. I can't stress that enough. And making these objects, or these terrains counterintuitive for power types, since they would have to slow themselves down just to reach this little object that they would get. So there are some stages that even have power type shortcuts, since they can break through walls and stuff, but it's not always the faster pathway. On top of that, power types trade in good handling and acceleration for higher boost and defense stats, which help power types recover from hits and get more distance from boosts, respectively. Now, I've heard chatter about power types being the best type in the game, or being the most broken, Zavik in particular, but the problem I see with that is that when you play on normal or hard difficulties, if you have basic knowledge on how drifting works, it won't be hard at all to drift with any character, no matter what stage or how poor your handling is. But when you play on expert difficulty, the speed drastically increases, making it difficult to handle the power types properly due to their low handling. Now, when facing off against other players online, the difficulty for racing won't always be set on expert. And with Zavik's potential for a high boost, it's understandable why he can be perceived as the best character in a competitive environment of the game. Team mechanics, or the game mechanics in general. The team mechanics are simple and easy to understand on a surface level, and can get deeper when your team works together to make strategies. Each team of 3 has someone in the lead that leaves behind a little slipstream that their teammates behind them can follow to potentially gain a boost of speed if they stay in the stream for long enough. The longer you stay in the stream, the more powerful the boost that you get from it. It helps to have the teammate in front and not drift as much and drive in a straight line to make the path easier to follow for the sake of the team. Next is the slingshot. When a player is hit or significantly slowed down and a squad member going at a faster speed passes them, the player gets a burst of speed that would put them on their squad member's speed level, so it's helpful to keep the momentum going and trains you to always keep awareness of your teammates' situations and positions. The last team-based mechanic is transferring items between players. So if your teammate is in need, they can at least have something to help them catch up. Players offer their items up and whoever else needs it has the option to take it. If not taken, the player keeps their item. When items are transferred between players, they usually power up, either by lasting longer or being able to get more uses out of them. Now, when certain items are transferred, the player that picks them up doesn't always get the same item. It's usually randomized, as if the player who received the Wisp got a regular item box. Meaning that dependent on your placement in the race, whether you're more in the back or whether you're more in the front, a transferred item can change into more damaging items like a quake, a drill, or a lightning. Or, it can be real simple stuff like, or stuff that you don't really care about, like cube or like a burst or something. Now, each type have unique wisps that they can only pick up. Like speed can only pick up burst. Technique has access to rhythm, the most useless wisp. And power has access to spike and void. For other types to get these wisps, they can only be transferred, making the team aspect of this game even more important. Team coordination and accountability is important, and to maximize the potential of your team, you need not only to master the game, but also how to abuse the mechanics and keep the flow of your team consistent. Each team interaction you do builds up the team meter for each member of the team. When the team meter you see behind your vehicle is full, you'll have access to a team ultimate that not only pushes you to max speed, but makes you invulnerable to both hits and terrain, and makes you able to knock into opponents as well. Just be wary that if you fall off the map or run into a wall, it'll essentially waste the team ultimate. Now, although the team meters for players go up simultaneously, it's up to the individual when to use their team special. Now, when used at the same time, the special lasts for longer, making coordination even more important. Each team's goal will be to get access to these team ultimates as soon as possible, since they can pretty much shift the flow of the race in your favor. This is what ultimately should be what gives you the incentive to learn these team mechanics and how to use them as efficiently as possible. Because on average, in a race, teams will get 2 to 3 team ultimates. You don't want to be the team stuck behind because you only got 1 team ultimate. Now, I've heard some chatter that people felt that they've never really needed to learn these team mechanics. And these aren't people who play online, but these are people who just play the game and just go through the story and then that's it. And so that's going to be our next topic, the game story mode. Dubbed as the Team Adventure, Team Sonic Racing Story Mode has you travel through a map similar to how Transformed had its career mode, but this time, the story builds a reasoning as to why Sonic and the cast are racing around in cars. It almost gives a blast of nostalgia for all the wrong reasons. The mix of tell and not show, doubled with the silly choice of new voice actors, makes this game's story very reminiscent of a particular Riders game. Also a little bit of Budokai too.
What's the matter? I wish you'd taken it more seriously. Here goes.
problem with this game's story is that it's not very engaging. I honestly doubt anybody who isn't a Sonic fan would find anything of substance with this story mode outside of a few witty jokes, because it's very hard to take seriously. If that's not bad enough, when you want to play the story every single time you play a level that has dialogue attached to it, you'd think you'd press the X button on PS4, you know, the button you press to normally go on to the next thing. Usually it's like X is like the default button to just go on, you know, to like continue, right? Well, you actually have to press the square button if you want to watch the cutscenes. For me, I didn't even realize I was skipping cutscenes until I was halfway through the first world. Now, it's a nice thing for people who want to get straight into action, but it's weird you have to press a button, you know, that you don't press outside of gameplay often to experience the action. It was later patched so that the X played the story and that the square skipped the story, but because that's how it initially was, I initially skipped more than half the story, and by the end of my first playthrough through the game, I didn't know if the Dompa, the Santa looking cat with the Dragon Ball Z sounding name, I didn't know if he was a good guy, a bad guy, what his intentions were, why he was there, or any of that. Thankfully, I played it again on the Switch, and you know, the story was okay. But you can tell the team adventure mode wasn't really a priority in the game development. Oh, camera ran out of battery. Did a little redecorating, hope you guys don't mind. So, in terms of gameplay, Team Adventure is an equal amount of fun to Transform's career mode. You have your general races, you have your Grand Prix, and your difficult challenges. The challenges are usually simple to get at least a silver medal, but a really tough grind to get a platinum or, you know, the highest possible score you can get. The Ring and Daredevil challenges are the ones I feel will get you more comfortable with the game, but if you're looking to get a good score on these challenges, it'll definitely take you some time and some getting used to of the controls. By the time I could get a good enough run to finish some of the very first Ring and Daredevil challenges, my hands were sore from all the tight drifting I had to do. It was satisfying to beat, but it was a real wall to get over.
How's that?
Now let's go once more. Loosen up. That's it.
Ugh. I'm really getting tired of operating this machine.
It would be, who is this game's target audience? And it made me wonder how younger kids could find themselves getting a high score or even be able to beat something like this. Turns out, if you have another friend to couch co-op with you, you can play all the challenges in Team Adventure as teams of up to 3. So 2 or 3 people, pretty much. The score you'd need to get the highest medal increased by a slight tiny little bit.
今回のこのチームソニックレーシングはチームで戦うというところが最大の特徴になっています。ネットワークを通じて友達同士で3人1組となって勝利を分かち合う、そんなゲームにしたくて今回のチームソニックレーシングを開発しました。
Essentially, it makes it so you don't need to be as strong as an individual player if you have a teammate. Like, let's say if you the normal score to get a platinum on something would be 2,000 points on something, right? If you had a friend, the points wouldn't double. It would only go to like 2,500, essentially making it so that you can mess up a little more and your teammate can make up for your mistakes, which honestly is a real nice way to get people motivated to work as a team rather than to play by themselves. You know, it kind of shoots the message that if you try to do everything by yourself, life is just going to be more difficult. So, you know, it's kind of like the theme of the game. You know, you play as a team, you win as a team. You know, I don't have any friends, so I never used this mechanic to beat the story. But I actually did try it out after I beat the story, and I was going back to beat some of the challenges. And trust me, it's a lot easier when you have another person with you. It's a lot more bearable too. The target smashes challenges actually ended up being the most difficult thing when I'm with 2 people, which is really surprising. Like, the Daredevil challenges aren't that hard. The Ring challenges are actually harder if your friend isn't very used to the controls. Even if I was, like, my friend, even having a friend there was still pretty difficult to beat some of those Ring challenges, so just be wary of that. My only other criticism with the story is that going through regular races and Grand Prix, the difficulty won't be the highest until you beat the story, for the first time, and then you go through it again, making it so that some people who try the single player experience won't get a big incentive to use or even learn the team mechanics. And even though they're pretty simple, it's like it won't be something that you'll like feel incentivized to learn. You know, even if their priority is just to beat the game and that's really it. When only playing with AI, you know, if you don't teach the team mechanics to yourself, then the team adventure won't give you much reason to learn them either. You know, going through the mode on normal is like a cakewalk, so it's a bit disappointing. Not everyone who picks up this game will find the beauty in the team mechanics. So local mode is where you have your Grand Prix, your single races, and your time attacks. So it's the free mode where you can play whatever stage you want, mixed in with time trials. And now to unlock the Final Fortress Zone, you actually need to beat the team adventure mode. Now this is mostly what you'd expect from a local mode, nothing too complicated, but one thing you may not realize until you go online is that there are actually multiple customizable game modes you can only do that aren't in local. You can only do them online. Stuff like Vampire, King of the Hill, or races where only one type of Wisp is available won't be found in your local modes for PS4 or Xbox. I don't know about PC. Now, on the Switch, local has an extra option for wireless play where you can host lobbies like online and customize the rules. Unfortunately, you can't actually play that using your Switch only unless you have someone with another Switch and another copy of the game joins in. Meaning, to play these special modes, you'll need at least 2 copies of the game for whatever platform you're on. It's unfortunate there's no unique offline single player modes outside of Team Adventure, but at least it's in the game, I guess. Online is also what you'd expect, racing against people on randomly made teams and lobbies that can hold up to 12 people at a time. And when there's less than 12, the AI fill in the rest. There's options for both ranked and casual play, ranked being strictly team races and casual having a bunch of other unique race modes. I've heard a few complaints here and there that it seems like you can't play on the same team as your friends online. I think those people didn't realize that all you had to do was just create a party on the online mode, and then when you do, you can go into either ranked or casual together on the same team for as long as you'd like. Online is where you see the reasons why this game could have used a little more time in the oven. Rumors say that the online was the initial reason why this game got delayed due to all the potential glitches. Not just a mishap or two, but it can get as extreme as flying off the stage when going too fast or getting spun in a weird direction for no reason.
Oh no, you don't!
It's kind of sad to see the game not to be this perfectly polished online experience, but It's not like the game is completely broken online. It still works for the most part, and small inconveniences won't cost you to race some of the time. Most of the time. What I've noticed is that most people reporting these glitches in on Twitter are Nintendo Switch players, which somewhat doesn't surprise me, because although the games look somewhat similar, the Switch version is definitely a bit more rough around the edges than the other ports. It kind of reminds me of how All-Stars Racing Transformed for the 3DS felt so broken.
So the game glitched, and this door that was supposed to open didn't open. We're all just sitting here.
The door here is supposed to open by itself, but it decided not to, and now just me and all the CPUs were just stuck in this awkward position driving into the door. I don't think this is kind of a big fault of Sumo. It's just when you make a game a weaker version of a game, like on the Switch, it's kind of like a unique problem. And so because of that, which is why All-Stars Racing Transformed for the 3DS was so messed up. Like, you can't play that game without going through a few glitches. That doesn't mean the game's not fun. That doesn't mean the game doesn't work for the most part. It's just you are going to run into glitches, and that's just the reality of it. It's because those games are made for better consoles, and then they're kind of scaled down for like the Switch, or like how All-Stars Racing was for the 3DS and for mobile. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's just unfortunate because this is only happening because this is a weaker version of the game. Not to say that the PS4 and Xbox One's versions are like perfect, or even on PC, but they don't glitch nearly as much as the Switch version. The only real thing you have to worry about on PS4 is that when you're going too fast, or sometimes you may like slid off the ground, and then when you hit the ground again, you may like curve, and then you may like do something like that, or you may like weirdly, it's usually only when you're going too fast. On the Switch, the realm of glitches just opens up on the Switch. Yeah. Now for me, online has felt fine for the most part, because only a few problems with collision were more of a fault of level design rather than the fault of the online mode itself. Other than that, I've had a blast playing online, getting a chance to play with multiple content creators and friends of my own.
Eagles. I gave you 3 eagles? Oh my god. The funny thing is that when I got it, it was spikes when I got it.
Well, yeah, let's do it in 3, 2, 1. You can also last longer, and I'm off the map.
Holy shit, I fell off too.
It was fun just to have a Sonic game to play with other people. I mean, I even got a chance to stream myself. I got to play with Peter Knetter, who I've been a long-time fan of. And, you know, even got featured in his very first Team Sonic Racing video.
What if we play with people on Twitter? Oh my gosh.
Yes, recharged!
We did it. This is the greatest day ever. We have to impress this man.
He already got a better start than us because he knows what he's doing.
Goddamn right.
It was just me, him, and his brother, because apparently no one else got the game on PS4 on day one. Although he jokingly accused me of cheating and didn't show the 2 times that I won.
He's just flying. He's hacking. No wonder he's so good. He's just flying. He's hacking.
How can you be sure your intelligence reports are correct? Are you absolutely sure?
I passed him. Alright, I'm officially the best player at this game.
It was still a fun experience. I played so well those first 2 games because I just finished doing those Ring and Daredevil challenges I was talking about earlier. Like, I just came off of that, and then he kind of put it out on Twitter. I was like, oh snap, this is lit. I'm definitely going in here. And it took me a little while because I didn't actually have PlayStation Plus. I bought PlayStation Plus specifically to play with him online. So that was cool. Another influencer I got to play with was Riders DX. He's definitely someone that you should be looking out for. And thankfully he was streaming, so there was no tomfoolery showing how badly I did in like one of those games. But Riders wasn't exactly on top of this game either that night, so I could sleep easily knowing that I wasn't the only one that sucked.
Oh, that was just terrible. Whoa, whoa, what's going on? Oh my god, what? What is this?
My
pleasure.
Playing with people you don't know is one thing, but being able to strategize and coordinate with friends in parties is like a whole nother dimension. It feels better playing the game holding each other accountable for what you should be focusing on and when you guys should be switching items and following each other's slipstreams. Playing with friends in any game can make it more fun, but in this game, it makes you more formidable. You won't win every time, obviously, but it honestly never felt extremely frustrating to lose, and it felt like I had fun either way just because of how much strategy just goes into this game.
3, 2, 1.
Bro, I was just in like 8th place and I got to 3rd just because of that team ultimate. That's how you know that we're just some of the best online right now. Okay, we're just out of their league.
The sad thing is, we probably are.
I beat him with 0 seconds. Yeah, that's not beating him.
That was too close.
Mod pods are the way currency is spent in this game to unlock new customizations. From car parts to color palettes, for a small price of 10 credits, everything you unlock for your vehicles will come from here. It has a sort of loot box system where what you get is based on a randomizer, but the more you play, the more you realize it's actually not that random. Unlocking parts for specific drivers won't be as random or as sporadic as other loot box systems because this game tracks your playtime with each individual character and will give you a higher chance of unlocking that character's customizations before other characters. Meaning, the game doesn't waste your time giving you 10 gold customizations for characters you don't care for before giving you even one customization for a character that you actually play, you know, which is a really convenient thing. Now, not everything is immediately unlockable through mod pods alone. To get access to certain vinyls and color palettes, you need to get all the keys and stars in the story mode, so yeah, good luck with that. Oh yeah, and also, you get some items you can equip before a race. I've never really needed them, and honestly, I don't think neither do you.
Bit of magic? A bit of magic? It's easy. Let's see.
This will be the place where you can make your cars look amazing, give them that little special touch to make them shine, or really fit your portrayal of the character driving it. It can get really in-depth with some of these color palettes, and the colors you pick apply to every non-gold part put on the vehicle. Also, I should mention that if all 3 parts that you equip to a vehicle become gold, then the whole car becomes gold. There's nothing special about gold equipment other than the fact that it's gold. The gold parts you get just have legendary put in the part's name, like how Shadow has his part called Maria's Boon because let's reference a dead young girl in this game through a card part, but and the legendary Maria's Boon is just has the exact same stats. That's all the gold is. Even when your whole car is gold, there's no special boost or stat increase for your car. That's a good place to move on to my next part, which is that stat buffs are tied to the equipment. So there will be times where you will have to prioritize performance over looks. This can be a bit of a tough decision for players, you know, always the looks versus strengths. But trust me, you're gonna get crappy online teammates anyway, or maybe even get AI on your team. So, you know, just go for flash. Don't even worry about how slow your car is or how low your handling gets because of that cool car part you equip. You're gonna lose anyway. Go wild. There are some characters who naturally have good-looking vehicles and that you can make look even better. And then there are those characters who just don't have any good-looking car parts at all. Like, Amy's car just looks like she's driving a giant sandal. It's the most boring thing ever. Like, the Chows look like they're in a baby stroller. And honestly, I'm not too happy with the design of Eggman's vehicle. But even in the worst situations, you just gotta learn to make do with what tools you have, and maybe you can create something that you actually like driving in.
Thank you, most interesting. I does what I likes, and I likes what I do. I does what I likes, and I likes. I does what I likes, and I likes what I do. I does what I likes, and I likes. I does what I like.
I can't help but feel that classic Sonic has gotten such a grip on the Sonic series since generations. Like, Sonic Team couldn't let go of its nostalgia, and they had to make classic references with every chance they got, with Lost World to Mania to Forces. I didn't hate the young Chili Dog Eater, but he feels like a completely different entity when compared to his older counterpart. I will always appreciate this game for having more of a focus about its identity when compared to some of these new age Sonic games. Since we're on the topic of comparisons, usually kart racers have the tendency to get compared to Mario Kart, and so Sonic has always been in the shadow of Mario, and obviously a kart racer that has Sonic in its name will be compared to Mario Kart no matter what. And I feel like it's just so unfair because Mario Kart is so much more iconic. Mario Kart is always going to be like a strong selling series. Even it's kind of like the Street Fighter of racing games, where it's like Street Fighter, even though some people feel like it may not be as good as it once was, it's still gonna have the numbers just because of its legacy. It's still gonna have, you know, the clout. It's still gonna be the pinnacle of what some people think fighting games should be, and that's what Mario Kart is, the pinnacle of what some people think racing games should be. And so I feel like Team Sonic Racing doing its own thing, being a bit unique. Definitely not as unique as something like Sonic Riders was, but I feel like it's still unique enough to, you know, warrant it some praise, you know. And I feel like a lot of people are mad that Sonic Team, you know, kind of threw out the Riders formula and gave us kart racers, but it definitely has its own beauty to it. It's so funny because around the time that Team Sonic Racing came out, we also got details about a Mario Kart Tour, a mobile app. I can tell you, Mario Kart Tour is not looking good at all. And the same thing with like Crash Team Racing. Like, I'm glad that Crash and Sonic are kind of getting these like really good racing games. Or I believe Team Sonic Racing was really good. That Crash and Sonic are getting these really good racing games, and then people had the tendency to compare it to Mario Kart. And then what's the next thing Mario Kart has to offer? Something pathetic like Mario Kart Tour.
Well, time for dessert, isn't it? Let's see. Big chocolate cake for Stewie, and we have something very tasty for Big Fat You. Bon appetit.
But here we go. Let's spend some more money on this game. As y'all can see, I got more rupees. How did that happen? I don't know. Ah! How do we do the whole thing where you spend the money and the rupees and that shit? Hold up. Oh, there it is right there. We're gonna fire off 10. Here we go. Come on, give me something juicy, please. I spent another $70 on the game, and I just want to get Yoshi. That's all I want. Let's get it. Here we go. I did kind of want that card, I'll be honest. So I really don't have Yoshi. Here we go. Okay, and then to get 200cc, you have to pay $5 a month. They have to CC that money in order for you to play 200cc. It's like I want to do it, but I shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Dash, don't do it. $5.99, don't do it. Okay, maybe $5.99. My boys, I got 10 more rupees. Okay, that's 2 more tries. Please, just give me Yoshi. That's all I want. Please, Yoshi. That was Dry Bones, wasn't it? It was. It's gold. Maybe this is a character. Give a fuck about that. They look like the cat from Crazy Taxi. I don't...
This meatloaf is a symphony of flavor. It's too bad you can't have some. It's practically orgasmic. Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, yes! Yes!
I'll have what he's having.
I didn't even get into talking about the music. I didn't even get into talking about the atmosphere of some of these levels. A lot of people are mad that, you know, the levels are kind of cut into stages, and you know, you really only have 7 different themes of levels, and that they're a bit generic for Sonic. And I can kind of see where you're coming from, but I feel like it's just something that would have been better if there was some sort of DLC for it. I feel like initially, or I feel like if there was some sort of DLC for this game and they had more tracks to go off of, like if it wasn't just those, if it wasn't just these 21 tracks, but they also had maybe a zone or two, like maybe dedicated to like Metropolis, or maybe to like unique zones in itself. Like I said earlier, I would have loved a Galactic Parade, you know, like a Starlight Carnival type of zone, or like Metropolis types of races. I was honestly expecting like something like Sunset Heights to be in the game, like a racetrack based on Sunset Heights. Like the stage honestly feels like a racetrack. It feels like it could have been a real easy racetrack to make. All you would have had to do was like bring over some assets from Sonic Forces. I don't think it would have been that hard, but you know what? Guess we can't get everything. And the music, when you use your Team Ultimates, the music that you get is usually different and unique for each character, and so they remixed a lot of characters' songs. You know, like Omega has This Machine, Silver has a nice remix of Dreams of Absolution. I don't know what the hell that song Blaze has. It's probably one of the songs from the original Sonic Rush, but it's not one of the like really cool ones. So I don't know which song that one is. But it's so funny to me. Like Rouge's song is so funny because they didn't take her theme song from Sonic Adventure 2. No. They took her song from Security Hall. They took the song from Security Hall, the stage where she said one of the dumbest things ever.
I'm in position, Doctor. Tell me when. There's been an unexpected delay on my end. There's no more time to waste. Set the timer for 15 minutes. Let's go, Rouge.
5 minutes should be plenty.
What in the world are you doing?
I love that they kind of like that little reference that they gave Rouge to one of her dumbest moments and kind of made that her theme song. You know, it just brings me back to the older, better days. And you know, I just really love Team Sonic Racing. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a game I would play every day, but I don't play video games every day anyway. So it's like, it's just one of those games where it's like every time I play it, every time I open it, I'm always going to be happy with it, and I'm always going to be happy with what we've gotten. I think overall, everybody is a little pissy that there's no extra content, or that there's no, this is it, there's nothing else, no improvements on the game. That was another criticism I had with Sonic Forces, that there was essentially no real DLC. Like Episode Shadow came out day 1, so it wasn't really DLC. It was something that was intended to be there and didn't make it into the disc, so they just made it downloadable content. So, you know, Team Sonic Racing.
So what drives it home for me about Team Sonic Racing is that it's not just a celebration of Sonic, it's a celebration of modern Sonic. And in the past few years, we've gotten a lot of games that have kind of pandered to more of the classic side of the Sonic games. And so having a game that's mostly just modern Sonic for me, honestly just made this game so much more enjoyable. And it honestly made this game resonate with me more than it would have if it didn't. And so for me, Team Sonic Racing will always be a game that I hold close to my heart and that I just always enjoy playing. But I know not everyone will feel the same way. So I guess that's really all I have to say for now. This is your boy, Sir Nistro, commander of the robotic unit. Hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.